How can one support former coal regions in their transformation towards sustainability, stability, and competitiveness? The region of central Germany is currently going through this structural change, away from coal mining towards innovative core technologies such as bioplastics. Our premium partner this year supports this objective, and we are delighted to present GTAI as our main supporter for the Congress.
GTAI stands for German Trade and Invest, the economic development agency of the Federal Republic of Germany. With more than 50 offices worldwide and a strong network of partners, GTAI supports German companies to internationalize. It promotes Germany as a business location, assisting foreign companies that wish to set up in Germany.
We are very happy to hand over the floor to Seema Bhardwaj and Boris Alex.
Good morning and good afternoon to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Germany Trade and Invest, it is our great pleasure to welcome you to this BIOPOLYMER International Congress 2021. For those of you who have not heard of our organization before, Germany Trade and Invest is Germany's central economic development agency for foreign trade and investment. We are supported by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy. We have 53 offices worldwide. In India, we are present in Delhi and Mumbai. Indo-German relations continue to go from strength to strength. India is one of the oldest economic partners in Asia, not only historically in trade, but also in terms of foreign direct investment. Germany is the 7th largest foreign direct investor in India. At the same time, we also see a steady increase of Indian foreign direct investment in Germany. As per our data available till June 2020, almost 600 Indian companies in total operate in Germany, creating almost 28,000 jobs here, making Germany top favored place of investment destination in Europe only after UK. Above all, we remain top choice for Indian companies to settle. Today in this conference, we have industry experts in the field. We have quite a few members from the All India Plastics Manufacturers Association. And keeping in view of that, I've prepared a few slides to provide a macro overview of plastics industry in Germany. I'm very glad to say that in today's session, we have an interesting mix of experts with a long experience in Indo-German economic field who will be sharing their experiences and views on further fostering the Indian-German business partnership. So without much ado, I'll move on to my first slide. We are going to speak today about the German plastics industry, a short overview. Here on this slide today, you see that German plastics industry constitutes of around 3,500 companies with a turnover of 97 billion euros. This makes Germany number one in European plastics production with a share of around 32%. So Germany not only leads in terms of production, as you can see, but also in terms of investment in fixed assets and a major expenditure in the research and development. On this slide, I would like to emphasize the entire value chain which is available within Germany. We see there's a highest integration and based on the state-of-art technologies and infrastructure here. So starting from raw material supplies, we have manufacturers, and in the end, you have of research and development also. We have plastic producers, compounders, converters, product distributors, and users. So in the end, you have also plastics end-of-life business, where we see the companies today, which is the topic here, waste management companies are there, recyclers, and energy from waste operators. So you see a whole complete economic system present in Germany. So on this map, you get an idea about various structures, which the kind of ecosystem which Germany provides. We have more than 40 plastic clusters and competence centers distributed evenly within Germany. And this is just to provide you an overview how Germany can be important for you, and where you can, according to your needs, be concentrated and set up in Germany. So we have a huge research landscape, and within which we have quite a few institutes. We are specialized in polymer sciences and material sciences with over 33 universities. We have 12 institutes on Fraunhofer Gesellschaft, Max Planck Institute. These are also active in India as well. And we have 10 federal national research and development institutes. And there is an intensive exchange between the universities and the companies, which actually ensures that they're able to hire the top talents within for your company and for your requirements. And how is GTAI supporting the companies who are entering into Germany? We have, especially if you're coming from the background of plastics, we provide best and full investor support, since we work together with all the 16 federal states and the economic development agencies, and with the clusters, which I already showed before, the networks in the plastics industry. And today, who is the organizers here? Example, the Polycom E. V. These are this is a live example. And of course, which I mentioned in my earlier slide with the research institutes. Example, the Fraunhofer Palette Plant Center for Polymer Synthesis and Polymer Processing. Now, for the investor consulting, apart from the plastics industry, how we, GTAI, can be of your help is we provide business location services, for example, market and industry analysis, entry analysis, and of course, we provide extensive legal information which you require once you are entering Germany. You also get information on funding and financing. So here I would also like to mention our new federal states and structural transformation, where we provide export promotion, investor consulting, and location marketing. In this slide, I would like to emphasize, you see the various structural transformation states which we have. These are certain regions. We receive a particular support, which I wanted to mention. So we have focus on improving the regional economic structures. And GTAI advises the investors on these business opportunities, and we have special incentives funding here. So if you invest in these regions and you have interest there, please get in touch with us. With this, I would like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this invitation, and I look forward to an interactive session with the value-adding takeaways and new impulses for your businesses. And this is it here from my side. I would like to pass on to my colleague Boris, who will be providing you some information on the Indian market. And after that, we'll be available for your question and answer sessions. Thank you very much.
Vielen Dank, Seema.
Vielen Dank. Many thanks, Seema. I would also like to welcome you to this Polymer Congress this year. In the next 10 minutes, I will give you a short overview of the current economic situation in India and German-Indian trade relations, and inform you on how Germany Trade and Invest can support German companies for market entry and foreign business in India. But first of all, a look at the current economic situation. As everywhere in the world, the economy slumped in the last year due to the COVID epidemic. During the several weeks lockdown, 3/4 of the India economy came to a halt in 2020, which led to great distortions in the supply chain and in the labor market. Thus, the GDP in the previous financial year had a minus of nearly 8%. It was one of the biggest slumps in an OECD country. In the second half of the year, the economy recovered relatively quickly, and at the beginning of 2021, the euphoria was great that India would have overcome the corona crisis and that the worst was behind them. And there was euphoric expectations of analysts with regard to the further economic development. The forecasts, not just from Indian analysts, but also from the foreign banks, came thick and fast. And for this year, for the 2021 financial year, they considered a plus of 13% in GDP. But since April this year, we have had the second COVID wave, and even if the government has not imposed such a strict lockdown this time as they did last year, more and more states in India, due to the high COVID incidences, closed down large parts of the economy, imposed curfews, and these restrictions will have an effect on the entire economic development of the country. In the past few weeks, more and more analysts had to modify their forecasts for the current financial year. Expect economic growth of a maximum of 10% for this period. Although Indian economy is in troubled waters at the moment, we can still assume that in the medium and long term, India will remain a boom market also for German companies. The 1.4 billion people with a continuously growing middle class, they are consumer friendly and have a great brand awareness. This makes it very interesting as a sales market for many companies, and investment conditions for companies have improved over the last years. For example, India in the past 5 years in the Doing Business report of the World Bank moved from place 142 to place 66, but there are still some risks in the business. This is especially the uncertainty with regard to the further development of COVID-19 pandemic, and last but not least, the vaccination campaign of the government came to a halt, and a sustainable development of the Indian economy is in danger. Also, the great deficits with regard to infrastructure and the high bureaucratic obstacles for companies deter companies from investing in this subcontinent. But despite these challenging conditions, many German companies entered the Indian market in the past 20 years. In the meantime, 1,800 companies are active in India. The big industry corporations, automotive manufacturers, but also many medium and small-sized companies have established their own production on the Indian continent. With the upturn in the last 20 years, foreign trade with Germany has grown steadily since 2000. The volume has increased more than fivefold. So Germany is the most important trade partner for India within the EU, and with regard to the most important supply country, it is on 12th place. The growth dynamics of German exports has weakened in the past 2 years, but after the COVID crisis, we think that the figures will rise again. Germany exports above all investment goods and preliminary products and chemical products. The German companies had to suffer especially from the effects of the corona crisis in the Indian economy, as many companies put their investments on hold. This was not surprising that the exports went down by around 25%. Why does India stay an interesting market? In the past 2 years, the government has started some reforms and investment programs which offer interesting opportunities for German companies. During the corona crisis, the Indian government developed an economic stimulus program of 250 million direct help for the suffering population, and there was a slogan of self-reliant India, and the aim is to make India independent from imports with regard to critical products such as pharmaceutical products, medical equipment and others. So more value shall be created in the country itself with the help of international companies which should use India as a production site. With mobile phone manufacturing, India has achieved first successes, so Apple and Samsung are now producing mobile phones in India. In order to achieve this target, the Indian government developed the production-linked incentive program. This shall encourage foreign companies to move their production to India, and they get a percentage bonus, which depends on how they increase their production compared to a basic value. In the next 5 years, India will provide around $25 billion, mostly for the automotive industry and other growth industry like pharmaceutical or the food processing industry. For German companies, it's especially interesting that the companies must commit themselves to invest in new production capacities in order to benefit from this funding. Up to $100 million have to be invested in order to take part in this program. This will, of course, may create a push in demand for machine building programs. A German manufacturer can also profit from this. Last year, Germany exported machines for around 4.2 billion euros to India. For German machine builders, revival of investment in India could come at the right time. Further growth are expected from the national infrastructure pipeline. In 2019, the Indian government launched a huge infrastructure program and investment volume of $2 trillion. This was to support the construction industry after the corona crisis and increase the attractiveness of an investment location in India by creating a modern infrastructure and to improve the quality of life of the population. The expansion of roads and harbors and railway systems is one of the priorities. 4,600 kilometers of new motorway will be created, and all Indian households will get their own electricity and water supply, and broadband internet will be extended in rural regions. In conurbations, the rollout of the fifth generation mobile network is in the starting blocks. After this short overview of the current economic situation and business opportunity, I would still like to explain to you how we proceed and how we can support you in export promotion. We beat free information on economic analysis, not just on India, but on 130 countries. One database. You have updated market analysis in commercial law and customs and business practice knowledge on wages and salaries, on payment transactions, on logistics, and on the investment climate. And in our database, we also information on international projects and tenders within development cooperation and tender reports from all over the world. If I have been able to arouse your interest in the Indian market, I would like to tell you at the end the foreign market entry program of the German Ministry of Economics and Energy. Trips to India for small and medium-sized companies will be supported. In this way, these entrepreneurs will get first-hand market information on the target markets, can establish contacts, can meet their business partners, and get to know reference projects. This applies to traditional areas of traditional in the German industry, like automotive and machine building, but also environmental technology, civil security, and health pharmaceuticals. More information on our services can be found on our website. Thank you for your interest. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you very much, Seema Bhardwaj and Boris Alex, for the interesting lecture about the prospects for German-Indian economic relations. A warm welcome to both of you. And we would also like to welcome Mrs. Görlitz from Halle, who will be joining us for the discussion as well.
All right, so thank you once again, and welcome all of you in joining this session. Thanks for your kind introduction. My name is Seema Bhardwaj, and I am working in the investment consulting branch of Germany Trade and Invest. I recently moved to India, and we are helping foreign companies setting up in Germany. So no matter which kind of information you require from us, get in touch with us. So without wasting my time, I'll pass it to my colleague Boris, who is from the trade side, and my colleague Peggy Görlitz, who is actually in the specialized skills sector, which is the aim of this event, in plastics in biopolymer. So over to you, Boris.
So my name is Boris Alex, and I am representative for Germany Trade and Invest in our Delhi office, and I'm responsible for the trade part. That means I support German companies who want to expand their business activities into the Indian market, and we provide information on the economic development and sector development in India. This in short from my side, and I pass on to my colleague Peggy.
Yes, and good morning from Berlin. So I was born in Halle, but now I live in Berlin and work for Germany Trade and Invest. I'm the expert in the plastics industry, and yes, I support companies from all over the world with their business, starting a business into Germany. And so I supported a lot of India companies with their new business developments in Germany.
Thank you very much for your nice introduction. And now we would like to begin the discussion. We have different questions from the audience, which my colleague will pass on to you.
Yeah, so we have a first question coming here to my desk, and the question was, what makes it so interesting for investments in Germany, and especially in Eastern Germany? Maybe somebody of you can comment on that.
Yes, should I give the first answer? Yes. Okay. As Seema Bhardwaj already told you, Germany stands for a good landscape in the research industry, especially in the plastics and research industry, also in the biopolymer industry. And that's very interesting for foreign companies to start their business in Germany. And in Eastern Germany, there's special possibilities for incentives. So for incentives for new investments or incentives for R&D developments. And that's important for foreign companies when they start their business in Germany.
So, shall I add something, Peggy, here?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yes, so being on ground, we do see quite a few. The information when you talk about Germany is a little bit limited. So people, especially if you are coming from countries where the major airports are, let's say Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg, because of the ports, these are very well-known areas. So here we talk just not about eastern part. We have a region which is called Strukturwandel region here. So we can see that the various pockets. So if you are planning to move and invest in Germany, then one should be looking at these areas where we have a typical infrastructure and an ecosystem which might be away from your main areas, which are actually which is not very well known. So let's say talking about any part of Eastern Germany or some small place in the northern part of Germany. So what we want to highlight here is it's worth considering these different aspects, and we have colleagues within in Germany who are the experts, as Peggy here in the fields, who knows the whole of the ecosystem. So it's good to concentrate on these aspects as well and these regions within Germany. So we would like to highlight them, and one of the reasons is these. And in fact, our Polytech, the partner who is here, Polycom is actually from the eastern part. So they are active. You have major areas here. Would like to welcome and look at these regions as well.
That's great. I mean, that was quite clear to me. But let's have the other part of the questions, which I would summarize. What's the challenge if you come as Indian company to Germany? So what would you see as the first hurdles? Maybe you can comment on that. That's what the audience like to hear.
Well, Peggy, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, I can start, and you can follow me again. Yes. So we've got requests from Indian companies via our GTAI office in Mumbai. And so Seema Bhardwaj is your first contact. And then we work together with our office here in Berlin. And we work together with each federal states. And in the plastics industry, it's more important that we work together with the networks like Polycum. Then we can give our best support in the cooperation with networks and also R&D institutes to show which could be the best cooperation partner or which could be the best region and location for their investment plans. And so that's what we support. And then we have a lot of tax and legal conditions, and we inform companies about how they can start formate their company, how they can start with a GmbH, and they need a lot of documents. That's not so easy for Indian companies, and that's what we try to support with our local partners and also with to give information about tax and legal and consultancy agencies local then. And it's also important for Indian companies that they have to know that we have a higher cost for employees and for experts, and we try to support also to find the right experts for their business then in Germany, and we give information about the wages and salaries different in different region, and in the eastern part of Germany it's a little bit more lower than in western part of Germany, the wages. So that's what we give information and discuss with the companies at the different locations, discuss about their possibilities. So, and Seema?
Yes, well, I can just join on currently, as I mentioned before. I was in the consulate here, and actually the point as of now, considering the corona situation, is about the visa. And there are a few companies who would actually like to do location studies and would like to visit Germany, which is as of now not possible. So for more of you, and not just the Indian companies, other companies trying to set up in Germany, looking for locations, we do have virtual viewing and inspection of the various regions, which is going on. So GTAI is also being very creative in this aspect. Apart from that, if we see from some of the companies, because there is a universal thing that we are compared to UK, most of the Indian diaspora is there, but I would like to highlight here that within Europe, the maximum number of Indian students are now studying in Germany in the universities. So this aspect, which has not yet been highlighted, is going on. So you have many Indian students coming with the mentality and the background and who are actually integrated in the German society are going to be a part of it. So these things, this is still developing, and these are one few hurdles which are coming up, and which we normally hear, and how my colleague Peggy Görlitz already mentioned that sometimes it's about the university where they are setting up. So you have a major number of students who are going in. And then third, which they say is there might be certain aspects which are cheaper, let's say of going to the eastern part. So, but we do have subsidies and combinations. So you have to come and get in touch with us, and we work out accordingly. What would be more suitable for your typical country, and which hubs and clusters are more important for you. So it makes easier when we know there's never a one solution for all, but it's always, as I said, tailor-made for whether it's an Indian company or another company. So as I said, traditionally, language was a problem, which is now slowly also not a major problem. And visa issues, we also see are coming up, but then it is to be followed not just for the Indian companies or opening a bank account. These are small things which we see, but then as we see, this is again also for the German companies going to India. They face the similar problems as well. So it's apart from the business, but we do help and support there. We give them the information how to prepare your documents and how to set up a company so that these small hiccups do not happen. That's from my side.
Thank you very much. But let's ask the question as well, very fair, how is the other way around? Because I assume there are a lot of German companies also like to expand to India with their business. Is it as very simple the opposite, as you said? Or what are the difficulties or the normal steps, I would say, happening there if a German company likes to invest and move and expand to India? Can you also comment on that?
I think my colleague is an expert here. Boris will go
I would
ahead.
take over
Yes,
this question.
Yes.
Yes. So I mean, of course, there's no easy answer to a complex question like investing or starting an investment in India. And as I mentioned in my short presentation, India has definitely improved its framework for foreign investors in the last couple of years. I was already posted in India between 2005 and 2011, and now again since 2 years, and a lot has changed. And so also the expectations of the German companies have changed. I remember back then the infrastructure or the lack of infrastructure in many aspects was a big problem for many German companies. Also, the fact that you actually had to pay taxes when you crossed one of the state borders within India, which not only slowed down your logistics, but it also made it very expensive. These are all very critical points that bothered companies back then, and that have been taken care of by the current government in the last 5-6 years. So there's a lot of improvement on that side. Nevertheless, I mean, India is still a very challenging and in some areas also can be very frustrating country for investors because yeah, bureaucracy is still a very big thing here, and getting depending on where you want to start your business, it can take a long time to get a electricity connection, get a water connection, etc. So this is still something that India is aware of and they're taking care of, but that is something that always comes up with German companies who want to expand into India. And of course, right now with the COVID situation, for many companies, the biggest hurdle is that they're not able to come to India, look for themselves, and talk to business partners, see what is possible, what is not possible here, and I mean, of course, we're all getting used to virtually being at least in contact with each other, but that doesn't really replace coming here, seeing the infrastructure, seeing what you need and what has to be taken care of for investment to be successful.
But Boris, I think the same thing I experienced also the other way around. So I was also traveling with my company BASF to India and around India. So I know it's also already established and working. I think we'll also have later on a lecture to have also good examples how it's already established this kind of business situation and working as well. So yeah, thank you. I think this is something, but we've also heard that those topics were tackled by the government and they will be changed. And to me, this is very positive. I would say. Do you think this will be also a solution in an overseeable time frame? Maybe I don't get this point, but can you also comment how to solve that issues, especially on logistics, building roads, etc., which is ongoing, I know, but do you think it's something which will be solved within the next years? Can you comment on that?
Probably not solve, but definitely improve. It has already improved, and but it is the highest priority, or it used to be the highest priority actually of the government to improve the infrastructure, be it roads, be it airports, and especially to make the flow of products for the companies easier within India. And I would say they're off to a good start, but there's still a long way to go. But just to give you an example, so India is building dedicated freight train corridors. That has two positive effects. One, of course, it will take the massive load of products that are being transported over roads onto the rail tracks, and that will also make that actually faster to move within India. So these projects have been started a couple of years ago, and now the first parts of these dedicated freight corridors are being inaugurated and are being started, and they're supposed to connect like all the big economic centers in for example, Mumbai, around Delhi, in Chennai, and in Bangalore, with high-speed trains that are only dedicated to move goods and products around. So this is one example where we're definitely making a lot of progress. Also, road building the speed has been definitely picked up in the last couple of years. The energy problem has been solved, not solved everywhere, but at least in the major centers, been solved to a very large extent. So yeah, I would say there's a positive development, but I wouldn't say that like in 2 or 3 years we will be seeing like a huge improvement. But give it another at least 5 to 10 years, and I think it will even look more better than it already does.
Big thank you to Seema Bhardwaj, Mrs. Görlitz, and Boris Alex for your interesting insights and the discussion. And I'm sure that your agency will be able to help lots of companies to set up either in Germany or in India. Thank you very much for your participation.